Hey everybody, today we have a legendary guest for you. We have Jeff Juices all the way in Bali. He is a return guest and he has so much to share. He actually used to be a raw carnivore. Yeah, that's right. Raw chicken, raw meat, and he turned fruitarian overnight. And he used to have a host of health problems, everything from Crohn's to prediabetes, just major digestive problems, brain fog, so many things. And it looks like he's living his best life now. So we're going to find out. We're going to catch up on so much since we ended off. And he also does a lot of water fasting. He's done a lot of water fasting and juice fasting over the years and big into raw foods. So this is going to be a good one. Stick around till the end. Grab a juice. Let's get into it. Hey, Jeff, how are you?
Hi, Gillian. Thank you for having me again. You're awesome. Just wanted to say you are probably the biggest personality online right now. I think what you're
Oh,
doing is really cool. The Joe Rogan of raw food. Yeah, you got a lot of cool people coming on your show. You're a very good personality for our movement. So thank you for interviewing and being unbiased and allowing people to just share their stories. It's really cool.
yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. And thank you for sharing your story. And yeah, from raw carnivore, like what the heck? I want to ask you, first of all, like when people eat raw meat like that, are they really like I look at that and to me that's the most unattractive, gross thing that I could ever eat in my life. Like, is that enjoy do raw carnivores really enjoy eating that?
Well, I can really only speak for myself when I was a raw carnivore, and I did that for about, in between 4 and 6 months. I really don't remember the exact time, but you have to almost disguise the meat in order to make it really attractive. And I would say, like, even before I discovered the raw carnivore thing, I would eat sushi with some raw tuna on it. But it wasn't necessarily the raw tuna that I was super attracted to. It was the whole piece of sushi with the rice and the carrot or the avocado, a little bit of soy sauce. But like the slice of meat isn't the sexiest, most delicious thing on earth, right? So when you're eating raw meat, you gotta add a little bit of salt, you gotta add some cheese, you gotta add a little bit of honey to it to make it amazing. And that's strictly talking about fish, beef and chicken and whatever else people are eating. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. And yeah, so
I'm glad you see that now. Because who
yeah, I
knows?
mean, I saw
Imagine.
it back then. What's that?
Well, I was gonna say too, imagine you stayed on with raw carnivore all these years, because how long ago was that? Imagine like where you'd be now, and you'd probably be a different person. Because from what I hear and just from my experience, I was never raw carnivore, but you essentially do become kind of a different person when you're eating a lot of meat and you're eating meat versus you're eating like a clean vegan diet. It affects your consciousness, don't you think? And like the way you think, the way you are.
To some degree, yes, for sure. I mean, if you were to take the healthiest raw vegan compared to the healthiest carnivore or raw carnivore, the raw carnivore would probably look a little bigger, but they'd probably be a little bit more aggressive, wouldn't be as grounded compared to the other one who would probably have better skin, would look a lot more clear, would probably be more flexible, and would probably live a lot longer. So food isn't the only thing. I know you know this, but food isn't the only thing that affects our life and our health and the way our body looks. It's a lot of other things, but food is probably the most significant thing that affects the way we feel, the way we think, the way we are.
Yeah.
But I'm not a Nazi when it comes to like food and meat and stuff. I personally am super duper vegan for life, forever. But I don't judge anyone. And I went through that phase like everyone else did. You find out about veganism and what it's doing to the earth and the animals and the food in your own body. And you become a little preachy and then you lose the friends and you're like, well, I can't do that if I want to have friends. And so
Yeah,
finally,
right. You know, exactly. It just repels people when you have those attitudes.
yeah, exactly. So I personally, when I'm out, I keep everything I'm about pretty much to myself until somebody deeply asks, like, "Yo, what's your program? What are you doing? What do you eat? I notice you eating a bunch of dragon fruit, a bunch of mangoes. Like, is that it?" And most of the time, I'll be like, "Yeah, that's it. What about you?" I'll redirect because I don't want to even talk about it because it's such a personal topic and nobody wants to hear you preach about your diet. Nobody, hell, nobody wants to talk about diet. And that's great. That's fine. I don't want to be told what to eat, just like carnivores don't want to be told to eat. But when
Hmm.
you get into the details of the diet, and if you start to evaluate and investigate for your own personal beliefs and your own personal benefits, then you start to uncover some truths. And when I discovered raw carnivore, I was super sick. I'm not even going to get into that. That's for the other video, but I was very sick and looking for exit strategies to my illness without, cutting my intestines out, really. And I my best friend at the time was a raw carnivore. And I got turned on to the raw food diet and fruitarian and raw meat like about 20 years ago because he became a fruitarian for like a week. And he started juicing and he was juicing oranges with the skin on and he turned orange and he was like, oh, the fruitarian thing's not for me. It didn't work. And I'm like, now that I think back on it, like, well, you were juicing oranges with a high-speed juicer with the skin on. That's like a really bad idea. Really bad idea. You don't do that. And so he eventually became a raw carnivore and introduced me to this book called The Primal Diet, written by a man named Augenis von der Plants, which that's not his real name. I honestly don't know what his real name is, but the book, it was kind of cool, to be honest. I didn't really know about raw veganism or even like fruitarian. I didn't even know what the word fruitarian was at that time. This was about 10 years ago. And the book basically summed up was like, the reason everyone's sick is because we're cooking our food. And that was like dope. That makes a lot of sense chemistry wise. You put fire to anything, it hurts, it sucks, it changes it changes the molecules and
Mhm.
damages them. And so what he did in the hospital with one of his patients was they were really sick. Again, I don't really remember their illness, but he gave them raw eggs after they were only given a few days to live. And this person came back to life and they ended up getting out of the hospital. And I was like, oh man, that's dope. I got to try this. And then my friend was like, okay, start with some ground beef and some cheese and some raw milk. And at the time, I had already drinking raw goat's milk a lot. And I was like, that's cool. I was kind of failing. I was putting chocolate in the raw goat's milk.
Well, yeah.
We got our habits, but so I tried it. I was doing raw cheese and some eggs and I liked the cheese, I liked the honey, I liked the milk, but like I would have to disguise raw ground beef and
Yeah,
I would have
what
to
about the
disguise.
parasites? Can't people get sick eating like this? That's what I don't understand. We see these YouTubers like with this raw primal meat. I'm like, don't you get like sick, like the bacteria and stuff, you know?
Well, bacteria necessarily isn't a problem. Like bacteria is never the problem. Bacteria can affect you if it becomes imbalanced, or yes, you can definitely get parasites from meat, but I would say that's actually quite rare that people get a parasite overgrowth from eating raw meat. I think it's mostly due to just having a body that's just filled with waste and they introduce it and their body can't keep up with the elimination of it. It's not necessarily because of the meat though, but is raw meat natural? I mean, we'll probably talk about that here. Definitely not. It's one of the dumbest things I ever did. It completely wrecked my digestion even more than it was already wrecked. And in every single possible way, I felt terrible. For one, I didn't enjoy eating the actual raw meat. I did not enjoy it. Everything else, I loved it. I love honey. Like honey's awesome. It tastes delicious. Raw milk is delicious. Raw cheese is delicious. Does that mean it's designed for us? No, but it was tasty, like edible. It was really good. That's the only thing that really kept me on that diet for as long as it did. And I didn't understand at the time that raw food, regardless of if it's fruit or meat, does not heal you. And a lot of the sales pitches in this book was that the meat is going to heal you. It didn't really talk about, at least that I can remember, it's been 10 years since I read the book, but it didn't really teach so much that the body is self-healing and that when you just stop eating almost anything, your body starts to heal. So unfortunately, I had a bowling ball in my gut every time I would eat anything, and especially meat, because it takes so long to digest it. By the time it would get to the area of my intestines that was like scar tissued up and really inflamed, it would just sit there for like a day and it would just hurt so bad. I would cry and puke, and it was a brutal experience for me. Puking every single day, I threw up, even on that
Yeah.
diet. Even on the food diet in the first year, I was still puking a lot. But the one thing that never resonated with me is that I would be like, well, this is gross. How could this be natural if this is gross? You know? And I would eat ground beef like every day. It would be like my least favorite thing. I tried chicken probably 7 to 10 times. And fish was okay. Fish was okay. Tuna was cool. Wasn't that unflavorful. It was like mid-range. Raw meat and chicken, it's gross. It's tough. It's chewy.
Yeah, raw
And
chicken, like that's just nasty to
gnarly,
me.
dude.
Yeah, that's another
Ugh.
level. I cannot picture you like that because you're
Yeah.
just total opposite end of the spectrum now, right? For that.
Yeah, 100%, opposite. And I'm very thankful that I did step into that zone for a while because it really made me more curious, like, well, if this is gross, what isn't gross? And I didn't even know. I didn't know. I didn't really find the fruitarian diet until it was at the last end. My intestines were like done. The hole that your food goes through was almost shut. And I had, I think I talked about this in the previous video, but I had a endoscopic pill camera, swallowed it, went down, got stuck for 4 months, and then it never came out. So at the tail end of my raw carnivore journey, I went to the hospital to get this camera removed, and they basically gave me some options like cut your intestines out, take steroids to reduce the inflammation. I'd already tried that a few times. It didn't work. And then in the hospital, I discovered fruitarian just on Google and stuff. And so, but the raw meat diet is because it's so popular right now, because, Instagram's cool, YouTube's cool. We make these reels, what I eat in a day, eating an animal-based diet. It's like, well, the food, if you really start to think about it, the food is not the steak. The food is the cow. And so you're processing the cow in order to get this piece of meat that is the size and shape of a piece of fruit. And in order to make that piece of meat taste delicious, you really got to do some things to it. Nobody, even most of the people that eating a raw carnivore diet, are not just eating a piece of steak, biting into it and ripping it up. Yeah, you see the little 2 or 3 second video clips of them doing that. I even made a video doing that like 8 years ago, but nobody's munching on a meal of meat because we can't chew it. We don't
Yeah.
have the teeth to do that. And humans, our jaws go up and down and side to side, and we grind it and we pulverize our food. But actual carnivores and animals designed to eat meat, they don't chew their meat. They gulp it, they rip it off the bones, and they swallow it as whole as possible. I would give my dog like a full drumstick for a meal, like a raw drumstick, and he wouldn't even chew it. I'd be like, dude, that was, for one, I was like, that's boring. I want to watch you eat that thing, dude. And he would just swallow it. And I'd be like, you're what, that's going to get stuck, but it's not, because humans and carnivores have pretty much the same pH balance in our intestines, but carnivores have much more stomach acid than humans, much more. I think it's like 6 times the amount. So
Wow.
if you're debating a carnivore, which I've done a lot of times, and I always win because it comes back to very simple approaches. But when you're debating them, they'll always say that, the pH is the exact same in the stomach of a carnivore and a frugivore, but it's not in the same quantity, you know? So
Hmm.
that's very important. Uh, so yeah, so I was cracking an egg on my tooth and sucking egg out every morning. I'd have like 6 eggs for breakfast and then some honey and, big glob of cheese and like a half a gallon of milk. And then dinner would come around and I'd eat a bowl of ground beef with chunks of cheese, maybe some avocado, maybe a tomato, and doused in honey, and after a few months, I did get used to it for sure, but I never liked it ever. I always like really dreaded putting the meat in. And so,
Yeah, and you don't want to be living a lifestyle, living a diet where you're like dreading. You want to look forward to your food. On this lifestyle, it's like I
dude,
can't wait to eat what I'm gonna eat the next day, my smoothies or this and that, right? It's like exciting.
I would almost guarantee most of the people watching this video, and you definitely yourself, when you go shopping and you're like, dude, I just got some epic persimmons or some figs, or like this watermelon, they cut half, I bought the other half, is deep red. I can't wait to eat it. Your mouth is salivating, like you're just like, oh my God, this is going to be the best meal of my entire life. And then you eat it. And every single day, you're like, that was the best thing I ever ate. Every single day, I have the best meal of my entire life. Every single day. And when I was eating meat, I was like, it's just food. This
Yeah.
sucks. I'm
And
like,
how has going like raw vegan fruitarian, how has that changed your life, like as a whole? How has it changed you and your life?
I mean, almost in every possible way, for one, I have zero health issues now. I'm in perfect health. And so back, 8 years ago at the start of my fruit journey, I was bedridden. I was totally screwed. I was not functional. Had a girlfriend at the time. I was a terrible boyfriend. I wasn't meeting my ends there. I was basically failed at my job, pretty much had to quit work, and I wasn't functioning. I couldn't digest food at all the health issues. I had so many of them. And me going fruitarian, not just physically, it just changed everything about me. I became more humble, more grounded, more passionate, more sincere. It had its major struggles, as does every major life decision and life change. But over the long run, if you were to look at it on a graph, it was always uphill. It had some big setbacks and then it would go uphill. And so where I'm at now in my life, I'm functional again. I'm perfect, and you can debate about the size of a vegan versus a carnivore, and obviously they're going to be bigger, but I do everything that a human could and should be able to do. I'm flexible. I'm strong enough to do pull-ups and run and surf and play basketball and whatever. I'm perfect.
Yeah, and like how's your
But
energy? Because like, that's the most important.
energy
Like
is
how's your
amazing.
energy? Yeah.
Well, now it's amazing. Before I really got into fasting, it was not good at all. I started to heal a lot with becoming a fruit-based raw vegan, um, but I didn't really get all the way there. And so that's the extra step towards perfect health came when I started doing fasting. But just the idea alone that I understand what I eat now and that I love it and that I understand the connection to my food compared to the connection to eating, a carnivore's food, which I was confused. All of us back then, all of us carnivores were confused about what the hell our true food is. I'm not confused anymore. And so I'm much more connected. And that sounds like hippie-esque, like I'm so connected, dude. It's like you kind of are,
Hmm.
it's not this like hippie thing that is like so like woohoo in the clouds. I'm
Hmm.
floating in space and reading tarot cards. It's not like that. It's like you are genuinely more connected to your food because you understand it. It's an energetic exchange when you eat a piece of fruit. Food is not just food, it's energy, it's sunlight, it's electricity. And when you're eating food that doesn't have electricity, you feel that and it resonates in your human being. And so
Yeah.
uh
And what makes you
yeah.
feel like what makes you feel like this is the right way? Like what makes you know that this is the right way? And do you think it's the right way for everyone?
I want to be gentle with the answer because I would say I don't even know if it's the right way because the older I get, the more experienced I get, the less I think I know. And so, is there a human diet that's optimal for every species? Yes. Is it the same diet for every person? Yes, absolutely. Humans are no exception. Every 80 million animal species has one specific diet their body was designed to eat. Humans are not an exception. Our diet comes from the shape of our intestines, what we're attracted to with our eyes, our nose, our taste buds, the way our hands are shaped, and our basic physiology. But I mean, I got to be honest on this TV show here, Jillian. I don't know if humans are designed to even eat food. I'm not
Wow.
like say that I'm saying that humans are breatharian, but there's some pretty strong evidence that the less we eat, the longer we live, the more you glow towards liquid if you're spiritually and mentally capable of doing that and mature enough to release the cravings and the addictions that we have with food, because even raw fruit, it's an addiction to some degree. I
Hmm.
need to eat even if I think I'm eating a perfect amount. I'm still craving food. I'm still
Hmm.
craving fruit. And so I would say I'm like, honestly, I'm not even going to say that like I think humans are fruit eaters, but if we were to be eating food and not just getting our energy from prana or from air, I would say definitely our food is fruit, without a
Yeah.
doubt, hands down. There's no other food that we're supposed to eat besides fruit. That's a reason we're so attracted to it.
And it's
And so,
the fruit is the easiest thing to digest and it gives us so much energy. So I don't see how that could not be something that's not correct for our system. Like that's pretty much a no-brainer to me, right?
yeah.
And I was
Yeah.
thinking too, like, thank God you took this path because you were pre-diabetic. So like how many years it's been, you'd probably have full-on hardcore diabetes by now if like you didn't think
Oh,
and
for sure.
possibly like organs removed because it's crazy. Like a lot of times the medical system can be just so quick to be like, let's remove these organs, let's put you on these meds. And they just very rarely ever like go into detail about nutrition. There might be a comment here or there. So thank God because diabetes can be serious and so many people are getting like diabetes, cancer, and heart disease now. It's crazy, right?
Yep. Your risk of diabetes significantly increases with every pound that you add onto your body that's excess. And so diabetes is not genetic, but it is in people's genes if they are not eating the species specific diet. And so interestingly, I diabetes runs in my family. I don't have a relationship with my dad. I haven't talked to him in probably 15 years, but through the grapevine of information, he just got his foot amputated because of his diabetes, because of poor circulation. He's had severe diabetes for a long time. He's super obese. You know, uh, from what people have told me, he's
That's so
in very
scary. Yeah. I know people who have that have
so
happened
scary.
to too. I don't think people take it serious. And even at my daughter's schools now, there's kids even getting diabetes now and getting cancer. It's like it's out of control, right?
Yeah. 30 to 40 years ago, kids did not have diabetes. It did
Mm.
not exist at all. And nowadays it's like I think 60% of kids under the age of 15 are develop or not, maybe not 60%, that's a little too high, but I don't know the number. A large portion of kids under their teenage years are getting diabetes, and it's only caused by food. That's it. It's caused by food and toxicity. And when your body's not
Yeah.
working and you add in the wrong diet, your body's going to deteriorate rapidly. And so you can manage diabetes two ways, by exercise and by diet.
Hmm.
And you can also reverse it two ways, by exercise and by diet. And so why not just never get diabetes? And why not, just have all your body parts functioning? Why not get off of pharmaceutical products, insulin? I don't support, taking chemicals. And so if you go to the doctor and you tell them that, you're having blood sugar issues, your energy's crashing all the time, they're going to put you on insulin and tell you to avoid fruit and eat protein, and that signs you up to be a customer for life of insulin. And I luckily never had to go that far, but yeah.
Yeah, scary world out there. It is, it is. And we live our best life when we're feeling our best, when we're eating well, when we're working out. It's like not only do you not want like body parts amputated and to live like that, but you want to live your best life, right? Feel your best, think your best, do your best. And a lot of people think that if you have like the fruit juices or the fruits, that's going to cause diabetes, right? And so you're big into juicing. You do fruit juices too, right? And you eat a lot of fruit, obviously. And so over all these years, like no blood sugar problems, like you haven't been having anything pop up in that regard or any health problems. Wow,
I
amazing.
I keep just getting healthier. I mean, probably just like you. You just keep getting healthier. And I would say there are a lot of like older fruitarians that have been doing it for 30, 20 to 30 years. And some of them lean away from fruit. You know who they are. I'm not going to drop any names. And
Hmm.
some of them lean away from fruit juice. Uh,
Yeah.
But from my experience and from all the other people that I've met, there is no issues with it, especially with diabetes type 2. If you have type 1, you definitely want to avoid fruit juice. You should never avoid fruit, whole fruit. That's
Hmm.
that's what you want to focus on for type 1 and type 2, but for type 1 diabetics, yeah, you should avoid fruit juice until you become healthier, until you heal it. There's not a lot of people that heal type 1 diabetes because I personally think it takes a lot of water fasting to overcome that. But I do know a few people that have healed type 1 diabetes, only with fasting, though, not with changing their
Wow,
diet.
interesting.
2
And
diabetes,
what about
easy. Super.
fruit? What about fruit and fats? Because a lot of people say, like, even as raw vegans, we shouldn't be mixing the fruits and fats. Like, if I make smoothies with almond milk and then there's mango in there and stuff like that, like, what are your thoughts on that? Mixing the fruits and fats as even somebody who's eating clean?
So I'll give you two answers. One, when you make a smoothie or a juice and you blend a bunch of different fruits or you mix a bunch of different fruits in a juice, it becomes one food, you know?
Mhm.
But when you eat watermelon with avocado, it's still kind of two different foods. And so I think we do need to be cautious with mixing, avocado or nuts and seeds with certain foods
Mhm.
that are more, yeah, it's mostly about fiber to liquid ratio, really,
Mhm.
about digestibility time. I would never want to eat nuts and seeds or an avocado followed 30 minutes later by a watermelon. You'd want to do it in the reverse, whatever's going to digest the fastest. So yeah, people eating a raw food diet can have blood sugar issues if they're eating too high of fat. For sure. It's not just animal products or processed oils that are the problem with diabetes. You can eat too much avocado, even though it's a fruit, it doesn't mean it's healthy for you. It's excess. Each species has a macronutrient nutrient ratio that allows their body to run optimally, and humans are roughly in the 80-10-10 range. Doug Graham, who was just here in Bali,
Mhm.
wrote a great book called 80-10-10. And you don't have to live by it religiously, but it's a pretty damn good base for what to eat. And if you eat within the 80% carb, 10% fat and protein ratio, you're going to be mostly eating delicious sweet fruit. That's it, which
Hmm.
is that's what I'm really attracted to anyway,
It's
you
true.
know?
That is what we're most attracted to. And so, what would you say for the standard American eater or the typical person out there who's not eating this way and who is getting diagnosed with diabetes? Because there's so many of them. What do you think is causing that? Do you think it's the processed food and like the white breads, pastas, and the excess meat, like the fats and the meat and stuff? Is that what's doing it?
Well, I think that's what it can be reversed through eating a high carb, low fat diet. And I'm honestly not against rice. I don't think it's a human food or even healthy, but is it healthier than meat? Definitely. I would
Hmm.
eat quinoa, potatoes, grains any day, eat oatmeal, oats, uh, any day over animal products because even the leanest cut of meat is still a high fat product. And so
Hmm.
rice and any pretty much any carb based starch, any starch is going to be okay with diabetes.
Yeah. And you,
Mastering Diabetes, Robbie and
mhm.
Cyrus, they have a program for diabetes, and they're not fully raw. I think
Mm.
they eat raw, but their program isn't uh, designed to only make you eat raw food. Is raw food going to be the quickest way to reverse it and give your body everything it needs the best? Definitely. But a lot of people have a background, they have addictions, they might not want to only eat raw food. And so for people who are like, I just got diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, get the animal products out, get the cooked and uncooked oils out, get the nuts and seeds out until you get a control on it and eat starches, eat carbs, eat fruit. Keep it a low fat, high carb, plant based
Mm.
diet. That's it.
Yeah, because
A lot of
fats are
green
harder to
salad.
fats and from what I've heard, fats and proteins are the hardest thing to digest. So that makes sense why you say that. Because then if you're eating things that are easier to digest, then your body has more energy and more attention it can put on healing and fixing things rather than just all the attention and energy going to digesting that food, right? And that's what takes me to intermittent fasting. I've been intermittent fasting lately, not the last 2 days because I was filming late. But it's such a game changer. And I've been watching a lot of videos where people have actually reversed diabetes just by intermittent fasting. So like it's such a huge thing. I notice when I stop eating by like 3 and then start again the next day around 9 or 10 a.m., I feel massive, massive differences. So like you must know a lot about that because you're big into fasting. Do you ever do intermittent fasting? And how has fasting as a whole like changed your life?
Yeah, well, I would say that's amazing, Julian. I think just limiting your food to a certain window is, if not just as effective as eating raw,
I
maybe
agree.
even more. Maybe
Hmm.
even more. Most people
I
don't want to talk about it
I think
because they
so.
want.
That's what I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I intermittent fast, not every single day, but I'm pretty consistent. I eat between like 11 and 12 and about 5 or 6.
Hmm.
Um, you know, I personally don't think everybody's emotionally stable enough to do that. It's to get to where we're at, it's a journey, We got to do a lot of work.
True.
Uh, I wasn't. There's no way I could have like done intermittent fasting. Even at the beginning of my raw food journey, I was drinking juice for the first like 8 months, mostly juice. And I would have juice for like 18 hours a day. Every hour, I would drink like a 6 to 8 ounce glass of juice. I also had prediabetes, so my blood sugar was crashing a lot. Uh, but is there benefit to intermittent fasting? It's the most beneficial thing. I personally wouldn't even call it intermittent fasting. I would just calling it not having an eating addiction 24 hours a day, and
I
eating when you're
know.
truly,
But it's
you
funny you
know?
say that because people think if you take on stuff like this, they think that's then an eating disorder. And if you're gonna eat clean and you're gonna like intermittent fast, they think you have an eating disorder. Just live a little, eat normal, eat like the rest of us. But like that's an eating addiction, right? If we're eating like the stuff that wasn't designed for our bodies, that was made in factories, there's just garbage, right?
Of course. I mean, the amount you eat, what you eat, and when you eat it are all three super important things. And so even raw vegans, dude, I mean, I live in Bali. It's probably the mecca of raw food. I meet a lot of amazing raw food people, but almost everyone overeats, even me. I'm not, I mean, me and you, nobody's perfect. We're
No,
far from perfect. We all
no.
have our so I still overeat pretty often. I try not to. And the cleaner I get, the better I feel, the more energy and clarity. But we all overeat, and that's a problem. So when you slowly start to walk that back and give yourself at least 2 to 3 hours before you go to sleep to stop digesting food, you're going to see a lot of difference when you wake up in the morning at 3 o'clock. That's epic. I'm kind of like daylight hours. you know? So
I
like
notice a
I'm
big
not even
difference
hungry.
because if I'm eating, I think ideally the worst, okay, I think ideally you want to stop. Like I like how people sometimes will eat between sunrise and sunset, right? I think that's good too. But I notice for me, if I stop at 3, that's my ideal time. I don't feel the food in my stomach still. It's still, if I stop when it's like the evening, I will feel like the digestion still happening, like when I'm sleeping or in the morning and stuff. Otherwise, when I stop earlier, I'm breathing so good. My stomach feels so good. I wake wide awake. My dreams are so vivid. It's a whole new life. So I think it's just the key to so many things. If people want to do like anti-aging, they want to fix health problems, they want to fix their mental health, have more energy, live their best life. And I think even if they don't want to be raw, like we said, but still, to me, raw is the king of everything, right? You're just gonna elevate, right?
Yeah, I mean, intermittent fasting is a huge part. And I think once you I mean, the food thing for me is super easy now. For you, it's probably easy. I'm a raw vegan. I eat mostly fruit. It's easy. It's just like it's my diet now. I have no issues. I don't even have to think about it. And
Hmm.
so once you get a handle on that, then you can maybe start working towards intermittent fasting, making your time window like noon to 3. I mean, 2 meals a day. That's like ultimate. That would be epic. I eat about 3 meals a day, and I'm not even hungry until like 11 or 12. And so the reason I eat a little bit later than some is because I'm active at night sometimes. I go surfing till like 6:30. Sometimes I'll want to eat a salad or something afterwards. But for all people, whatever your diet is, because most of the people following you or me, but they're probably not even vegan. So just intermittent fasting is going to be huge. It's going to be a massive increase. It's not really because about the hours, it's because you're eating way less and you're
Yeah.
giving your body so much time before you go to sleep to stop digesting food, get it out of the way, and by the time you actually fall asleep, your body can use that energy for repair, and
Yeah,
that's
you can
that's what sleep.
repair. You can heal things you
Yeah,
didn't even know. And so you've done that through water fasting too, right? So I haven't sat down with you in a while. Have you done any more water fasting over the last year? Any other types of fasting? Any other updates since I've seen you last?
yeah. So what's it been? It's been about a year since we talked, maybe,
Yeah,
maybe a little more.
it's been at least a year, over a year.
Year and a half, maybe. Yeah, I've done a bunch of fasts since then. I fast typically every week, 1 day a week for about 36 to 40 hours. That has gotten so much easier for me since I've seen you. Uh, Fasting's always kind of difficult because it's a mental thing. Once you get your body cleaner, it adapts to fasting physically, but mentally, like, we're all gluttons. We just want to keep eating and stuff ourselves until we don't feel stress. And so I'm not going to lie, I've had stress in my life, a lot, just like other people. And so when that happens, I'm prone to just go towards food, anything, just a juice, coconut water. That's a stress reliever, anything. Anytime you feel your blood sugar go down a little bit, you want it to come up. You don't want to feel your feelings, right? And so I've been doing a 1 day fast a week pretty religiously for the past year and a half. And I've done a bunch of other fasts. I did an 11-day fast, a 10-day, another 14-day, so many random like 3 and 4 days here and there. And every time I do a fast, I find it to be just the most calm, beautiful experience ever, whether it's 1 day or 2 weeks. And I see benefits, major benefits. Uh, I would still like to do a very long fast. I haven't really done anything more than 19 days, which I've done twice.
Hmm.
Um, but I've done a lot of fasting now, and my body would not be what it is. My life would not be, I would not have my life back unless I would have started fasting. And I have Lauren Lockman to thank for that. He's been a big influence on me just with his amount of people that he's fasted, his experience. And I've done 3 fasts at Tanglewood. I've done a lot of fasts on my own. I hosted a fast here in Bali last year. I fasted six people, pretty much all of them with great results and great benefits. And it's something that a lot of raw food eaters don't really look into. I know last
Hmm.
time I talked to you, you're like, oh, I need to look into that. I want to do one. And a lot of people think that they feel healthy, and so they're like, I don't have a reason to fast. But I don't know. Have you ever interviewed Alan Goldhammer?
Yeah, I have. So he's in California, right?
California.
Yep.
Yep. So you know, a lot of people won't do the extremities, which fasting is
Hmm.
not extreme. It's the most natural thing you could do. But a lot of people won't do it until they have to.
True.
But a lot of the research shows that the people that are healthy get the most benefits. And so, you might not think you need to do a fast until you do a fast. And you're like, oh my God, I just increased my health by 10%, which even if you increase your health by 2%, it's massive and you notice it dramatically. 2% is huge, you know?
Hmm.
So,
Well, I would love to hear then, because you've done water fasting and juice fasting, right? Or juice cleansing, because I don't think you call it a fast. I know it's obviously not like a water fast, but so what are the differences like between how you feel on a juice fast and a water fast and like the differences from the results?
so how you feel on it is going to be totally different person to person.
Okay.
But we could generalize. Generally speaking, when you're doing a juice cleanse, excuse me, if you don't have like SIBO or major digestive issues, you're going to feel pretty freaking awesome on a juice cleanse. You're going to have probably more energy. There's definitely cases where
Hmm.
people don't, and you'll probably go through some waves. You've done what, 100 days on juice or something? 30?
I've
You
got
did a lot, right?
37 and then a bunch of small ones. I never felt better in my life. It's on the 37
Exactly. Exactly.
ever by
So,
far.
yes, same. Yeah, I felt awesome.
Yeah.
Uh, so that's because juicing is still eating. It has nothing to do with fasting at all. You're just eating liquid food. You're still getting all your calories, all your nutrition. You're getting everything. You can live on juice forever.
Hmm.
Uh, so it's not really politically correct to say juice fasting because then it kind of like doesn't really put the emphasis on what real fasting is and its
Yeah.
benefits.
Yeah.
But when you do a juice cleanse, you feel great because your body's not really having to break down such dense food, you know? And so people going from a standard American diet or even a raw food diet to a juice cleanse, you're going to see beautiful things happen. You're going to probably lose some excess fat. You're going to lose a lot of toxicity. You're going to detoxify and cleanse a lot, but you're going to hit a wall. Eventually, your body is going to adapt to that diet. And because you're still eating, juicing is a complete food. Because you're still eating food, your body's going to eventually become accustomed to that. And if you have excess toxicity, it's eventually going to stop detoxifying. And that's what happens to almost everyone. Even people eating just a fruitarian diet. Your body is filled with waste. Even the fruit eaters that have been raw for 20 years, they need to water fast. They might be what they think in perfect health, and they might not have any health issues per se, but they still have, if you weren't eating an optimal diet since birth and you're eating processed food and getting jabbed up and breathing chemtrails and exhaust fumes, you're going to have toxicity in your body. And it's not possible. I'm going to blanket statement that, and it might sound a little know-it-all or blunt, but you will not fully detoxify just eating a raw food diet or juicing them. I haven't seen any evidence that somebody's like, oh my God, I'm perfectly clean and healthy and hydrated without
Hmm.
fasting.
Hmm.
So to compare it to actual water fasting, it's uncomparable.
Wow. It makes
Fasting
me
is
want to water
way more
fast. Yeah.
important than a fruit diet. It's way more important. I would say I would rather be a vegan and eat cooked carbs and cooked starches and do a 20 to 30-day fast every year, to be honest, than be a fruitarian and never do a fast. I would never have healed myself if it weren't for fasting. I'd still be probably having major digestive issues, uh, and I would still be highly toxic. And I know a lot of people do get very healthy eating a raw diet and juicing. But if those people were then, after 5 or 10 years of doing that, were
Hmm.
to then do a 20 to 40-day water fast, it wouldn't even be comparable. They'd be like, oh my God, I wasted a lot of time. One 30-day water fast is probably not even comparable to living on juice for 10 years. It's not even
Wow.
comparable.
And it must be
The
like the
amount of stuff.
most, like even like like the health benefits aside and the healing aside with the fasting that you achieve, the spiritual benefits must be insane, I'm guessing on that, right? Like you must just really feel so connected, right? On a water fast or no?
Uh, to be honest, I personally don't when I'm fasting
Mhm. Wow.
because because I was so toxic. I mean, Jillian, I ate cheeseburgers and Skittles and White Castle and Dairy Queen and Nutty Bars and potato chips and cocaine. I ate all of that for
And
3 to 4 days.
cocaine.
Okay?
Yeah.
A little booger sugar here.
Yeah.
So I was coming from a very toxic place. So most of my fasts were very hard. I was detoxifying the whole time. It was not really a spiritual thing. I was like, this sucks. I'm detoxifying. I'm in pain, headaches and skin hurts and bad breath and bad odors and just achiness. It's like having a very tough, difficult flu every day that gets harder and harder throughout the fast. For some people, for me, that's what happened. For some people,
Yeah.
it is extremely spiritual. For the cleaner person, it's way more spiritual. When you become cleaner and then you fast, then
Okay,
it goes
yeah.
from being a detoxifying experience, then it becomes a spiritual experience. So my journey has been a detoxifying experience thus far. And the more I fast, the easier it becomes. I can fast for 4 days now. I feel awesome. I used to fast, and by day 1.5, I would be like, oh my God, I feel like I'm dying,
And how
and
much
now
water do you drink? How much water do you drink in a day when you're fasting like that?
it totally depends on the person. That's the importance of taking your vital signs and understanding how to interpret them, especially your blood pressure, the difference between your systolic and diastolic, but predominantly speaking in between 4 and 8 liters, depending on the person. And it's smart to know how much, because then you
Yeah.
can be
That's
safe
why
and
like
get the
Lauren and stuff played a major part for you, right? Because there's experts that
support.
do this. So I think it's a good idea to like consult those people. And what you were saying about the Skittles and like eating all those other foods, that the cocaine, all the crap that's just toxic for you. Don't you feel like when we treat our body that way, we're just out of alignment? We feel like crap. And then don't you feel like that kind of reflects in our outside world? Don't you think like everything's like the law of attraction, vibration, frequency? Like when I wasn't taking care of myself, there's a lot more crap just going on. Like things aren't flowing. There's a lot more resistance in life, and we are the creators of our life. And essentially, we're not achieving as great a life, don't you think? And then when you clean out and you eat how your body is intended, you release the resistance, you feel so good, then you attract more good. And then the outside is reflected in that too.
Of course, of course. And I can tell you love raw food. You love it just as much as I do.
Yeah.
It's such I mean it sounds stupid to say it, but it is my life right now. It is what has developed me into this person I am now. And I would say it's not fruit or the raw vegan food that makes me connected or passionate or clear-headed. It's just having a clean body. That's it. It's getting enough sleep, enough exercise, enough nutrients,
Mm-hmm.
and having a body that's perfectly clean.
Mm-hmm.
And so, there is kind of you know, there's some confusion going on in our community that's like food and juicing and smoothies and herbs. That's what makes you healthy. It's like, well, just having a clean body is what makes you healthy.
Good
Having
point.
no impurities is what creates health. It's not the food that creates health. Food helps a part of that, but your body, your genetics being impacted by nothing exteriorly that's chemicalized or in excess is what makes you operate perfectly. And so that's why when you fast, if your body's clean, you feel a million times more clear and energetic and strong than you do when you're eating food. So the healthiest person that's super clean, if they fast for like 4 or 5, 6 days, they're going to feel way clearer, way more motivated, way more energetic than they would if they were eating food. And it's because energy doesn't necessarily come from food. It comes from our genetics, it comes from sleep, and it comes from having enough tissue on our body, and that's why we are also able to fast for so long. The average human of a normal weight can fast for 40 plus days, no problem. And
Mm-hmm.
fasting, I'm sure you've heard this definitely, but fasting isn't difficult. Fasting is a beautiful, beautiful process. What is crappy and what does suck is detoxifying. And so we should be able to feel great and operate perfectly while fasting, but you can't really get to that stage of your life until you detoxify. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. And that makes
Yeah.
sense. So also like you've learned a lot. You've been through such a huge journey. Health is such a big part of your life now. What would you say are the three greatest things you've learned about health? I love asking people like this. Or if like there was a legacy, a book you could leave behind with like three major points about health, what would those be?
Yeah. I mean, that's a good question. The first thing I would say, I mean, health is relative and there's many ways to achieve it, but from what I've seen, the fastest way back to true health is to stop everything and lay down in a bed, a hammock, or a chair and just sip on water and watch this shit, this nasty gunk just come out of your body. I know there's a lot of people into Orin therapy or urine therapy. But dude, you get to like day 15 of a water fast, you will be repulsed by the smell of your piss.
Mm-hmm.
What comes out of your body when you stop eating and juicing and taking smoothies is absolutely beautiful. Your body finally has a chance to squeeze this nasty, decade old filth out. And so I personally wish that I would have started my journey just skipping the juicing and the mono fruit cleanses and just gone straight into a water fast for sure for
Wow.
20 to 30. I personally wasn't ready. And it's not for everyone. Everyone can do it, and it's not dangerous if you do it in the right environment and guided. But mentally, a lot of people aren't ready to do that. And that's totally fine. I wasn't. But if I were to start over, it'd be like, do a water fast, I'd get to this place way faster. You get your body way cleaner, way faster, and you just cut out all the BS. So that would be the first thing I would say. Number one, most important thing. Even the fruitarians and the raw vegans are missing that. If they're not doing it, everyone's missing it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know too many 40-year raw vegans absolutely thriving that didn't have fasting as a part of their early journey.
Mm-hmm.
There's really not that many. So that's the first one. The second one is like, be gentle on yourself. We're all human. Don't judge anyone. I'm guilty of it in the early years, but like if your best friend wants to eat meat and go to McDonald's, like who cares,
Mm-hmm.
dude? We're all just trying to enjoy life, and they don't know what we know, and we don't know what they know. They don't have the same experiences, and just be super humble and compassionate. Uh, it like wrecks my heart to even think about how big of a dick I was when I found all this information. I'm like preaching to everyone, like, stop killing all the animals, you're gonna kill yourself. And now I'm just like, you know what? Just let people be, live by example, set the example, set the bar high, and work on yourself. Focus on this, only that. Look in the mirror. If you're preaching out there to other people and you're not dialed within yourself, what's the point? You know, uh, Whatever's under your roof, make it best, make it really good, make it clean. Uh, and another good piece of advice is like, eat a lot of food, eat enough. I see a lot of people under eating,
Mm-hmm.
and if you're mentally capable, yeah, like you should be trying to get your food to as low as you can, to where your body operates with as little as it needs, and that's perfect. But a lot of people in the first few years of their journey, I feel like they undereat, so they flip flop their diets. They have cravings, they do these long juice cleanses, which aren't the problem. It's the mental that's the problem. And then they go to like eating
Mm-hmm.
animal products, whatever. So I
True.
think,
Well
and
said.
there's so many, like exercise, I think is
Yes,
so huge.
it is
Exercise
so
is
huge.
the key that's come into my life a lot in the past year and a half. And without exercise, I don't think you can thrive on a fruit-based diet. Without fasting and exercise, I don't think you can eat fruit and be the best that your body can be. And so if we're going to sit and eat a bucket of bananas and then sit on the couch and watch, I don't know, whatever you watch,
Yeah.
you're gonna get fat. You're gonna have health issues. You can gain weight eating just fruit for sure if you're not exercising.
Yeah,
Uh,
true. And what are you eating in a day? So people are going to ask, and I'm super curious, like, what's the food cost like in Bali? So is it really low?
yeah, I mean, so you're in Florida. It'd be a little bit different if you're like living in a booming place like California. Some of the fruit can be pretty cheap, but compared to the US, it's probably anywhere from one third to one fifth of the price.
Wow.
If not more for some things, like I think an avocado in Hawaii is anywhere from $8 to $14. An avocado here might be like 20 to 40 cents,
Yeah,
you
Hawaii is
know?
insane. I went to Hawaii to interview Christina this year. I swear to God, I got a watermelon. It was $33. I'm not even
That's
making this up.
that should be a crime.
No, I know. And then there was a
My God.
pineapple I bought at the farmer's market. It was 26. And my cameraman was with me. He's like, that's $26, the pineapple you're buying. I was like, Kevin, it's not 26 bucks. And then I got up and the girl was like, 26. I was thinking, what? They were like, well, it's a white pineapple. And it was the best pineapple I've ever had in my life. But the watermelon was the best watermelon I've ever had in my life, a regular watermelon. And the coconut is $10 in Hawaii, each coconut. So like, yeah, it's a lot more, right?
I was talking to my friend Ryan who lives in Kauai today, and he was like, "Yeah, it's like $10, $8 to $10." He's like, $7 for a coconut is like a locals deal. I'm like, $7? I paid like 40 cents for a coconut, and I have like
What?
I'm looking at my counter. I have 6 coconuts just sitting on my counter. I drank 5 of them right before we got on this call,
You
and
pay
it's
like
like
40 cents for a coconut?
10 cents.
Oh
Yeah,
my,
they're
see,
everywhere.
was it easy
Yeah.
to move to Bali? Is the rent prices, are the rent prices cheaper too? I'm guessing.
Yeah, so compared to the US, it's probably a quarter of the price. It depends. The extremely fancy places are way cheaper. The middle range housing is maybe half the price, and the
Hmm.
low cost housing is also really cheap. And so I'm living in a pretty big 1 bedroom. I got a private pool. I'm about 8 minutes from the beach. I pay 450 a month. I
$450?
450, yeah, it's pretty good.
$450 for that?
Yes, yes.
Oh, Jeff, that's crazy.
Yeah. So my
These
my
are like
overhead cost.
90s prices.
Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, since I've moved here, prices in a lot of ways have like tripled in housing. There's a lot of people from Ukraine and Russia because of the war have moved over here and they're just snatching up land and building villas. But I don't drive a car. I bought a scooter, a
Nice.
brand new scooter for $2,000. I was thinking of moving to Costa Rica. I went there this past summer to look for some land. And it's just like to get a used car in Costa Rica is like
So
40
expensive.
grand.
I lived there for a year. Yeah, it's like crazy. Yeah.
Compared to the US, I mean, my bills are like $800 a month total. If I eat a crap load of durian and I eat out at raw vegan restaurants, which I don't really do that much, it'd be like $1,000.
Yeah.
Compared to the US, I was paying 3 or 4 thousand bucks a month.
Yeah. So for
So
somebody who works online, it might be the perfect life, right?
yeah, yeah. Bali's cool, Sri Lanka's cool, Thailand is cool. Some cheaper places in Central America are cool. For me, Bali is the perfect place because there's surfing, there's durian, and there's a raw food community here. And yeah, right now Christina's here, Dr. Doug is here. Uh, just had a cool weekend with them, but it's like there's so many raw vegan restaurants. The energy here is amazing. Someday you'll come here, you'll see. It can be very crowded, so I don't want to just sell Bali as this like perfect paradise. It's definitely not. It's very polluted. There's a lot of trash, but you can, if you focus on certain places, like I got several beaches I go to that are just pristine, they're beautiful. And the friends, I really like hanging out with other people that eat raw food,
Hmm.
and to have meet up like once a week, once every 2 weeks. It just makes me feel like a normal person, and that's what we're all looking for. Like we all want to have friends that are like us, and to not have to like talk to somebody and to describe what I'm doing every time I meet someone new. It's just like you instantly bond over having the same beliefs and ideas, and you're like, oh, you eat raw food? Let's be friends. Cool.
Yeah, those
So
connections fulfill us, and the nature does so much because we are one with it, right? We need the nature and all the ocean time you do and stuff. That's inspiring, and that just helps you feel happier, right? On this earth.
yeah, 100%. I love it here. I don't know if I'll live here forever, but for now, it's awesome. I recommend everybody at least go on vacation to the tropics or to
Yeah.
Bali or Costa Rica or anywhere, Hawaii.
Yeah. And did we get through your day of eating? What's a typical day of eating lately? And like, what's a couple favorite juices? Because I know like you're big into juicing too.
Yep. So my day is pretty similar. I start with coconut water or juice
Mm-hmm.
every day. I'll usually go to the gym in between 6 o'clock and 9 o'clock, depending.
Mm-hmm.
And usually don't eat before that. And when I get done, I'll have a couple coconuts. I got this nice little stand, just drive up, have a couple coconuts. And then around noon, I'll have lunch, which is like fruit. I mean, for the past year and a half, it's been just dragon fruit, really. Maybe watermelon or mangoes or something. I try to eat seasonally. And then for dinner, usually is like a salad or durian. If it's in the winter, it's durian typically. If it's not in the durian season, it's like a salad or fruit plus lettuce. I'm a huge fan of fruit and lettuce. I think you really got to get yourself mentally there and cleaned out enough to be able to enjoy just eating fruit for dinner. All the other meals during the day are like usually pretty easy for people, but when it comes down to dinner time, people want a salad. And there's nothing technically wrong with eating salads, definitely not. But if you're like really focused on fine tuning yourself, getting rid of the salad every single night addiction and the seed dressing every night
Mm-hmm.
as you progress in your journey, I find it
Mm-hmm.
very helpful. So what is the balance for me is like adding lettuce to some bananas or adding lettuce to a couple pineapples and I eat it plain and just take a leaf off and eat it. And so, yeah, I don't really juice per se that much, to be honest. Maybe a couple days a week I'll juice. And Some of my favorite juice recipes are simple. I'm like a mono fruit juice guy. I like pineapple juice, orange juice. That's pretty much like my go-to. Because I live in the tropics, I'm going to be juicing different things than I would in the US. If I was in the US, I'd be doing something similar to the lemon ginger blast, probably a
Hmm.
little bit more apple. But because I live in Bali, pineapple is like my base for the sweetness and the calories. So, right now I've been digging pineapple, cucumber, and mint.
It's so
I
good. I've never had a mint, but I make pineapple cucumber. It's so refreshing. There's really nothing like it. Yeah.
It's easy
And
and orange juice. Orange juice,
what,
yeah.
and yeah, the food, like I see your stories. Everybody go follow Jeff on Instagram if you don't already. It is amazing Instagram. And the food, it does, like I would say for places I've been, Hawaii was the best food quality on earth. It's literally like heaven there. And I've never been to Bali, but the food I see looks like the best quality food on earth. It looks insane. It looks insane. And when you have that high quality food and that high quality fruit and that ripeness, it's just another level of health, right? When you're eating like that level of food.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at it, the just purely by your eyesight, it's way more vibrant than other food. Like apples and oranges and bananas, they're cool. But when you see like jackfruit and durian and mangosteens and rambutans and lychees and
Hmm.
20 different varieties of mangoes, it's tropical fruit is a million times better than non-tropical fruit. Figs, persimmons, peaches, nectarines, those are amazing. But you eat a durian that like fell from a tree 10 minutes ago, it's going
Yeah.
to change your entire existence. You're going to melt, mind is going to
Literally.
fall onto the ground, and you're going to have a spasm just going crazy.
Yeah, and I was
Yeah,
saying your Instagram's really good. It's grown a lot. You always produce like such great content. You get a lot of engagement. So maybe for somebody watching who's a content creator or a lot of people now think about going online, it's like that's the world we live in. That's the future, right? So any advice for people to just stay positive and stay true to themselves on there? Because I know you do deal with a lot of like lunatics in the comments.
I mean, I bring it upon myself to be honest. I ask for it. I love making content because I was a photographer before I did this. I was a commercial photographer, and so people are like, "Your photos are so amazing." I'm like, "I'm just shooting it with my freaking phone." It's to me, I have no artisticness in it. It's just me documenting what's going on. So I really appreciate you noticing. But it's like just share your life, share your story if you want to. You don't have to. Instagram and social media is not for everyone, but for me, I would have done it anyway. I never planned to be a health coach, or I don't even want to use the word influencer because it's almost embarrassing to be like I'm an influencer, but it's like I'm content. I share my life. I've shared my journey, and a lot of people resonated with me personally and you personally. And I think it just comes down to like we're real. We're real people who just put a camera on and we share some stuff. And I think it's like really cool to be able to relate to other people because a lot of people live in small towns. They don't have any friends that are raw vegan.
Hmm.
And so I would say just like be humble, uh, just share your journey. And if you want to grow your following, just post controversial stuff that looks good. Get good lighting, and just post regularly. That's it. Honestly have been so inconsistent in the past year, kind of just due to some like fasting things in my personal life. But like, just be consistent. You will grow if you're posting stuff that people like, if you're real, and if you do it consistently. If you
Hmm.
are lighting is shit, if you're posting it in your basement at midnight and you can barely see it, and you can barely hear it, you're probably not going to grow a following. People aren't going to resonate. But like your videos are always good. You got good lighting. You're very clear and direct with your words. You're engaging. You ask the right questions. And I think the number one most important thing is people see your passion.
Hmm.
That's it. If you're passionate about a topic and you film yourself talking about it, it almost doesn't even matter what the topic is. If you do it long enough, you will get a following. And
Good
so
point. That's
I,
exactly sums it all up perfectly.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't care what people's passions are. I will be friends with everyone if they're stoked on something. That's it. You'd be stoked on something, and I just want to listen. Like you want to talk, even if you're talking about raw meat, and you're just like, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, I don't believe you, but like, it's cool that you're that passionate.
Yeah,
People that are into
passion.
golf, I don't really play golf, but like, I'm drawn to people that are really stoked on things. And I think that's why the people that are on the internet that are famous or influencers, it's because they really enjoy what they're doing. You clearly enjoy what you're doing. That's why you
Hmm.
keep pumping out videos and making conversations. And so if you're faking it, people are going to see it. If you're faking it, people are going to know they're not going to resonate. And so I have done many consultations with people just, and I don't do this. This isn't like my thing, but it's like I have shown people my recipe on how to become a health coach or how to get followers. It's not even about followers, it's just how to make good content. And it's pretty damn simple. It's like film what you're doing, talk about it, post it. And
Hmm.
as you do that, see what works, what doesn't. And if if you want some really good controversy, be a little bit thinner than most people and post a what I eat in a day video and say I'm a raw vegan. You know, my recent one that I made like a couple weeks ago got like 6 million views, and it's like I don't even look at the comments anymore because it's nasty. But every
Yeah.
once in a while, I'll to be like LOL to people, even though they're like, "You're stupid and skinny, you're gonna die within a week." I'm like, well, I'm 8 years now, I'm feeling pretty good. Uh,
Oh man.
you know, you got to egg people on a little bit. You got to let your
Yeah.
guard down and not care. I'm sure you get a lot of hatred too,
Yeah.
probably less than I do because you're not like this is what to do. You're more like what do you do? Share
Yeah.
it. You know,
Yeah.
I'm kind of a salesman. It's like this is what I'm doing. Do it too. It's like I actually never say you should do this, but when you share what you eat in a day with the
They get
world,
heated. They
regardless
get
of your
heated.
diet, people are going to
No.
hate you. Even if you're like the strongest looking, most jacked looking, beautiful person, woman or man, you're going to get hated on by anyone. So it's like,
But who
don't
cares,
care.
right? We just gotta stay true to ourselves. And people that are spewing out hate online, like at the end of the day, they're not happy. If they're seen in like a hateful way and stuff, they're not happy. So don't let it affect you. You know what I mean?
I liked how uh, what was the YouTube channel, Vegan
Oh
Deterioration?
yeah, that was in my
They
early
roasted
days.
you. They roasted me. They've
Yeah.
roasted several people. And it's like, somebody just tagged me a few days ago. This like dude with 1 million followers on TikTok made a video about me. It was kind of funny. I was like, that was pretty funny. And it's bullshit. But like,
Yeah.
who cares?
Yeah.
Everyone hates me. A lot of people love me. Focus on the people that love me.
Yeah, that's life.
Too many people don't
Exactly.
know.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. And what would you say is your favorite part about being a raw vegan?
Just the friendships I've made.
Mhm.
It's like
Nice.
a universal code for just making friends. Luckily, I have been blessed enough to have the talent to like share my journey on Instagram. And so I meet a lot of people that hit me up on Instagram like, "Hey, I'm coming to Bali. Want to meet up or be friends?" And
Hmm.
so I have a lot of friends and connections that will probably be lifelong just because I started eating fruit and sharing it online. And some of the kindest, most beautiful hearted people I've met have been through similar things to what we have been through.
Hmm.
We're a very unique group of people. If you have found the raw vegan path, let alone a fruitarian and fasting path, you're a very small percentage. You're open-minded. You're definitely going to think outside the box, and you're looking for deeper truths than the majority of the population. So for me, it's like I really value the friendships I've made, and hopefully one day we'll get to meet in person. I feel like you're
Yeah.
just so cool, and
I,
I just really love how unbiased you are. Even though you
yeah.
have your beliefs, you just give people the floor to talk.
Yeah.
And
And yeah,
there's a
I'll
lot of
come
people.
out to Bali. It'll be so much fun. I'll come for sure. I'll come with my camera guy because we travel a lot. We'll do a lot of content. It'll be so fun, such a fun experience. And I saw you were with Christina. How was that your
Yeah.
first time meeting her? How radiant is she in person too, right? She's one of the healthiest looking people I've ever seen, right?
She's legit, dude. She's very legit.
Yeah.
She's uh she's got great skin. She's like super fit, and she's so kind and generous. And
Hmm.
you just talk to her, you're like, man, this girl's grounded. A lot of people, I mean, even myself, I'm like ADD and hyper, and Christina's she's smooth, dude. She's really nice. She's great at conversation. She's really smart. And you can really tell that she loves what she does. She's been doing it so long.
Hmm.
Uh, I mean, you're pretty consistent. Christina is like the queen of consistency.
Yeah.
You can tell just by looking at her that she is consistent in her daily routines. And
Hmm.
obviously she's had some ups and downs as we all do. But yeah, it was great to meet her, and we hung out for 2 days, had some meetups, and yeah, man, she's the best. She's really cool. She's a really good role model for a lot of people. She's beautiful, and she makes great recipes. She makes the lifestyle look really beautiful.
Hmm.
Obviously, Instagram and YouTube, people aren't going to share the down parts, but for people wanting to get inspired and gain some knowledge, like she's awesome. Yeah, I love her. She's
Yeah.
like definitely top 5 people out there to like show this movement to the world. So
100%. Well, this has been amazing. I want to thank you for coming back on. I always like chatting with you, catching up. Is there anything else that you want to share with the audience to end off with? Any inspiration at all? And if not, that's okay. And let everybody know where they can find you. And I'll put it down below. And also, I'll put our podcast that we did before on the screen at the end of this because that was such a good one, too.
Awesome. Appreciate that. Yeah, I would just say like be kind and be humble. Uh just know that nobody is on the same journey as you. So try to not judge anyone. Try to not turn your nose up because somebody's not a vegan or eating as clean as you. And nobody's perfect. I'm not, you're not. Nobody that has ever been a human has been perfect. And so just know that you're on a journey exactly where you need to be. And the more generous you can be, the more kind and humble you can be, the further you're going to go, the more friends you're going to make, the more you'll be accepted and liked. And the biggest reason I make content is because I really enjoy the way it feels. This is a selfish thing, which is silly, but I love when people tell me like, you changed my life.
Mm-hmm.
I saw your videos, or I did a coaching call with you. I followed your advice, and now I feel great. I have my life back. Or I did this juice cleanse, or I did a fast. And it's just because I was sick. It'd be different if I wasn't sick. But because I was so sick, I know what it feels like to be sick. And when people are like, dude, I was bedridden, I was 100 pounds overweight, I could barely walk. And now a year later, they're like, I have my life back. It's like the coolest thing. Almost every time I do a consultation, people tell me this. I'm like, I want to cry. It's just so cool. You are personally reaching so many people. It's dope.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody who's sharing content and sharing their life, it's just like, it's so cool to see people just doing what we have tried. And it's not like we're perfect, but
Mm-mm.
just trying something out of the blue, trying something different because you're stuck and you're not getting the results. Try this, try getting the results. If you don't like it after a couple of weeks or a month, then go back to what you're doing. But try eating grapes, eat watermelon for a week or two, just try it out. And if it doesn't work for you, that's fine. Go back to
Mm-hmm.
doing your thing. But for
Mm-hmm.
the majority of people that I've met, it really works wonders. And the people that do it long term, like Christina, like you,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the elders that are 20 plus years, they're still doing it for a reason because they love it and it works. The results
Mm-hmm.
are definitely.
And they're thriving. Like, look at these people. Look at
Hey,
Lou at 73.
hey,
Look at Chef Babette at 73. Fred Bishy at 94. Mimi Kirk in her 80s. Like, all these people are totally thriving. And I don't know about you, but a lot of people that ate the standard American diet or didn't take care of themselves in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, like they're not thriving in those later
not
decades at
thriving.
all. And I want to be thriving. I want to be able to look after myself always, be able to help my kids always and my grandkids and be just working. Like Fred Bishy's still working at 94. He's long-term raw vegan, I think 60 years. He's still
Wow.
helping people every day with calls and running up and
Very
down the house. No glasses on, hearing good. I'm just like, what? This is incredible. And this is how we want to be, right?
Yeah. And you can see it in people's eyes. You can look at
Mm,
people that are toxic and eating a lot, eating a lot of protein and toxic food. You see it in their eyes.
you
You
see
go
it.
and look in somebody's eyes in person that's been on raw food for 5 to 10 years. They look clear and clean. They have nice skin. So, I mean, it's visible. It's very visible what we're doing. So
It's
good job.
visible.
Keep going,
Yeah.
everybody. Try it
Yeah.
out.
And you too, keep going. You're doing great. So thanks for coming on. I'm so happy about your journey, how far you've come. No more Crohn's, no more digestive issues, no diabetes, thank God. Living your best life, no more brain fog, all your body parts, all your organs, and just evolving and helping so many people too. So thanks for being you, Jeff. Thanks for coming on. And I admire you and I appreciate you. So everybody go follow Jeff. I'll put all his social media down below and make sure you follow this page as well. And Jeff and I both have the best juicer, the Nama. I'll put both of our links down below if you guys want to grab one, get juicing, live a better life and watch the podcast at the end of this with Jeff. I'll put up another one as well. So make a juice, go watch those, subscribe, and we love you guys. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.